What's up, everybody? It's Stephen Williams, founder and president of the creditrepairshop.com. I'm going to talk about some things that I think that will help you moving forward with what's going on in our country. Some of this is going to be about personal growth, personal development, motivation. That's what we're going to talk about at the beginning, and I'm going to put a little time stamp on here for you that don't care to hear that type of stuff. But I'm going to talk about it because I know that it makes a difference. It makes a difference in my life. It makes a difference in people's lives that end up coming to the realization that if they're going to change things with their credit and if they're going to get out of debt, that it's going to be more than just about looking on a piece of paper and adding up some numbers, and and knowing your numbers is going to get you out of debt. No, there's different things about how the human mind works and your the way where you were brought up in your environment, your family, your parents, what you learned about money, what you didn't learn about money, what you how you believe in yourself, how you don't believe in yourself, and how you understand your own self perception of yourself. Not what other people think of you, what you deep down inside believe about yourself. Because what you deep down inside believe about yourself is exactly what grows on the outside. It is not from your environment that you grew up in. Your environment that you grew up in affects you, but it does not make you who you are. You decide to take upon that environment at some point in your life. That's why you can have people that grow up in the worst conditions and they end up uh, having excellent lives, becoming either great educators or multi-millionaires or billionaires, because it has nothing to do with the environment that you were brought up in. It has everything to do about what you keep believing about what you can be from in yourself. So one of the things that I want to talk about today before we get to talking about the credit and debt is that we're going to talk about feelings. Do you allow yourself, and this is something that I had to learn and something that I had to practice, and but when you overcome this, I think that you have a lot of power over the direction of your life. Because a lot of people, or all of us, at some point would say, like, if let's just say a friend said, "Do you want to go out to dinner?" And you say, "I don't really feel like going out to dinner," or you got to get up in the morning and maybe exercise. You say, "I don't feel like exercising," or you got to go to work and you say, "Well, I really don't feel like going to work." Usually, the things, even if you feel like doing them or don't feel like doing them, it's going to depend on if you have to do it, on if you do it. But let me tell you a little secret, which is really wide open out there that we should all know if we understood how the human mind worked. And it's something that I've become aware of, is that your body and other people don't tell you how to feel. You allow them to tell you how to feel, and you allow your body to tell you how to feel. It's like it's the reverse. You should tell yourself, if you don't want to do something, you choose not to do it. If you don't want to work on your credit, if you don't want to get out of debt, it's not because you don't feel like it. It's not because you can't. It's because you choose not to work on it. You choose not to work on it. Even if you choose not to do something, you will see that there's a power that will start to build within you, because everything that you do moving forward is by your choice, not by your circumstances, not by what other people tell you, not by what other people say you could do, not by what you have in your pocket today when it comes to money, not what it comes to if you lose your job. If you lose everything, you can rebuild because it's what you feel like you want to do. That gives you 100% control of the power. And I'm not talking power for yourself, and I'm not talking about power over other people. I'm talking about taking full control of the power within you for yourself. The next thing is a lot of people don't move forward with their credit and debt. And I've talked about this before, is that they're afraid. One way to overcome being afraid to do something is to write down on a piece of paper or even just think it. What is the worst that can happen? And what is the best thing that can happen? And usually something happens that's in the middle. People don't get started on their credit. People don't get started on their debt because they are afraid of even trying to do it because they are afraid of failing. Rather than saying, I'm going to start working on it, and all of the little ups and downs, I understand they're going to be in there. And I know what my goal is. What my ultimate goal is to have excellent credit and to either get out of debt or just lower my debt. That's the feeling that you should have, and that's the direction you should be in. And you should never be afraid of moving forward on something. You should never be afraid. But let me let's do like a little practice, because I don't care what anyone says. When you're doing something that you've never experienced, for most, I'm not going to say all, for most, if you're going to accomplish something that you've never experienced, you're going to have fears and worries of either not succeeding, or fears and worries about how people are going to look at you if you don't succeed, fears and worries about uh, just not knowing the unknown. That's what happens with all of us. That's why you have to plant this stuff in your mind. If you are trying to get out of debt, you're trying to repair your credit, and you keep running into walls, you keep running into problems, but you're seeing other people successful with theirs. You're reading comments on YouTube where people are successful with things that they've done and they're similar to yours. It's because your thinking is screwed up. It's because you are allowing yourself to get comfortable. And this is how it works. Your body wants you to be comfortable. That's why if you try to do something and you're not sure of yourself, you get nervous and you're not comfortable. And what happens is your body tries to say, you need to get back to where you were at so we can feel comfortable, so you can be comfortable, because that's how you feel good. That's why you have to take the initiative and tell your body how you want it to feel. And you want to tell your body that I'm trying to do something new and I feel good about it. Tell your body that I don't know what's going to happen on the outcome. I know what I want to happen, and I'm going to focus on that outcome. And if whatever I fear, whatever I worry about, I'm just going to just let it come in and let it flow out. I'm not going to even fight my fears. I'm going to let my fears come in, and I'm going to say, there go those fears, and then I'm going to push them out. And when I say push them out, you just let it flow out, and you continue working on your goal. You see it. Now, it's not good enough to just think positive. A lot of people say, well, I've been thinking positive. One person posted a comment, said, I've been thinking positive for 20, 25 years. And the problem with what you were doing, and there's no problem with thinking positive, but this is what you did wrong, is that you didn't picture what you wanted. You can't go out there and let's just say you make a garden. You get the dirt, you get everything, and you just throw seeds out there, but you don't look at the packages. You don't look at the packages of the seeds that you're buying. You just get some seeds in a bag. You don't even know what they are, and you just throw them out there. You don't know what's going to grow when you do something like that. That is exactly what we do in our minds. When you think positive, you have to give a picture. You have to imagine yourself feeling. You have to see yourself having it. See yourself, a picture of you having it, touching it, experiencing it, smelling it, everything. And it will materialize. The quicker you learn to do things like that, you will see you will see stuff materialize, and you'll say to yourself, you might even say you don't even want to tell anybody because they may not even believe you. You'll keep it quiet. There are some things that happen for me on all different levels that I don't even say anything, even to my own family, because I'm thinking that they may think that I'm crazy. Because let me give you an example. For um, my business, what I did is I said, and this was months ago, way before the virus happened, way before. I said, I'm going to rebuild my business. I'm going to take it upon to do some things to start rebuilding it. Because I admit, there are things when you have employees, every employee is not like you. So you have to learn how to manage employees. And for my particular company, the credit repair shop, there are things that I continually have to train, retrain. And so what I did is I said, I'm going to have a picture in my mind, and I'm not going to be afraid to make the changes. And I'm going to imagine what I want it to be. And this was before the beginning of the year. You could say like a New Year's resolution. And that started to materialize around May of this year, May 2020, start to materialize, where I sat up and I said, what I kept visualizing and feeding and feeling back then, before the year started, has actually materialized now. And so what has happened now, and that's why I haven't been able to make a lot of the YouTube videos that I wanted, is that I have to rework that vision, because I can see that that vision got me to a certain point, and now I have to rework a vision on the way that I have to train my employees, the way that they have to be, the amount of experience that they're going to have to be. So right now, I'm in a scared, like in that afraid period for my business, because I'm reworking and changing things. I'm changing things with customer service, changing things with the way that we process the client's disputes and all of that stuff, changing things in my office with the people, some of the people that I have to let go, and some of the new people that I have to bring in. I'm not afraid to do that because it'll make us a better company. To you, you may be thinking, oh, that's easy to do. But when you have people that depend on things, depend on income, it is not as easy as you may think, at least in my eyes, because I give people a lot of chances. Some people say I give people a lot of chances to a fault. So I really think hard when I look at making changes with staff, when I look at making changes with the things that we do for any of my businesses. But I have to do it. And what I have to do first is I visualize what I want that to be. What is the outcome? And then I start moving in that process, even if I'm afraid. I have to do it. So you can't just think positive. You have to think positive. You have to imagine what you want, what that looks like, what that sounds like. Who is that with? Is there a person right there with you, your spouse? How does it feel like? Experience it, and you will see that it will materialize. All right, so now we're at 1447, 1450. Let's go into it. The debt portfolios account released. This is through one of the major banks. All right, I had to mix up on the video. Boy, something is trying not to allow me to get this video to you guys and girls. All right, so uh, let's just review. Uh, Someone is always new on here when we're talking about what to do with debt. Uh, so when if you get a debt collection from a debt collection company or even an original creditor, even if you know you owe the debt or you don't remember, if you don't remember, you need to immediately send them a validation saying you do not remember owing this debt. Just or not even a validation, just send them a letter stating that you never remembered owing this debt and then see what they send back to you. If you remember owing the debt, then the first thing you need to do is you need to go and look at your credit reports, and you also need to look at the statute of limitations for debt contract uh, contract debt for your state. It's different for every state. Uh, and to be clear, it cannot be a judgment that's coming after you. We're not talking about that. We're talking about you get that letter in the mail saying that this is debt collection company so and so trying to collect the debt for this company, and we give you 30 days to dispute this. If you don't, we're going to move forward legally, whatever. You should immediately look up on your credit and see when the last time that account had any active activity. When was the charge off date for that specific account? Then go and look at the statute of limitations for your state. And then if they have not contacted you or you haven't made any payment, anything that could reset the debt, then all you have to do is notify them that they're attempting to come after you for a debt that is past the legal statute of limitations according to the laws in your state, and that you demand that they cease all collection activities, or you will file a complaint with the appropriate authorities in your state, which is the Attorney General's office and whoever handles the banking, licensing, debt collection, company licensing department in your state. It's in my state of Wisconsin, Department of Financial Institution. That's who would is the organization or the department that you would file a complaint with. 9 times, 9.99 times out of 10, when you do that, if it's past statute of limitations, they will cease all collection activities. These accounts, there's only one state that it would be valid. I believe one state by memory, one state, Rhode Island, I believe, has a 15-year statute of limitations. All the other states, the max is 10 years. It would be gone. You wouldn't even have to go into doing a debt validation. Now, if it is a debt that is not past statute of limitations, you need to go into a debt validation. And I have videos here on YouTube that talk about debt validation. And that's where, to review again for people that are new, a debt validation is where you are requesting the debt collection company to gather all of the information about that particular debt to prove that you owe, number one, that it's you, that you owe that amount, that there was no discrepancies with payments, interest rate, all types of stuff. You have a right to get all of that information. Now, to be clear, or to tell you that there is a difference, if it's an original creditor that hired a debt collection company to come after you for the money, the debt validation has a low bar, because the original creditor, if they still maintain the debt, there are certain things that they don't have to do that someone who purchased the debt and is trying to establish that you are really that person, they have to prove way more than the original creditor. So if the original creditor hired a debt collection company to come after you for the debt, you can do a debt validation, but it's mainly going to be focused on the amounts that they claim you owe to make sure all of that stuff was right. And if it's make sure that it's still past not past statute of limitations, but we're talking about if it's not past statute of limitations. If a debt collector purchases a debt, they are reestablishing everything. That's why they send you that 30-day letter, because that's part of the way that the legal system was set up to allow them to establish. So they send it to you. If you don't respond, or even if you do respond, but you don't respond the right way, you give them a right legally to go to the next step, which is to put it on your credit report. So to hold them off, to stop them, to slow them down, you need to do a debt validation for everything that pertains to that debt, including your personal information. They must provide it. They must provide the contract. They must provide all of the payments, the payments you made, all of the charges you made. If you're like this was a credit card company, all of the charges, everything, proving that it is your debt. If they can't provide that, they will not be able to move forward legally. And this will usually stop them from going forward with doing a lawsuit because they're going to know that they can't get that information. They can't get that information for one reason or another from the original creditor. Now, let's say that they do get the information, then you can go into a settlement phase at a discount. They're always willing to do that. They're always open to doing that rather than going to court. Now, let's say that they don't provide you that information, they just keep putting it off. Then what you do is the next step that they're going to do is they're going to take you to court potentially, or they may just leave it alone. You may find that when you make that debt validation, they won't respond and they just leave you alone. But you need to keep your eyes open for if they take it to the next step and take you to court to get a court summons. If they get a court summons, you answer the summons the same way, but you just do it point by point. And I have videos on here that show you how to do that. And you do a debt validation request with your answers to the court summons or court citation. And you send that to the plaintiff attorney and you send that to the court. Then they're going to have to do it. And this is what usually happens, or sometimes happen. I won't say all the time, but this is what will usually happen when you go to court and you've done that and they didn't respond at the other two levels. Is that soon as you walk into court, they will say that your case is dismissed. And let me tell you why, because they have to establish 100% that the debt is yours. They have to. Also, something that I learned is that they send the lowest grade attorney, the lowest, like this is just a paper pushing attorney to those court hearings. All they're doing is person comes, okay, what are you going to do about the debt? And they just mark it down. And they're sending that up to the big boss. The ones in there don't know nothing. If you ask for a debt validation, they're going to ask for for more time to reschedule to have one of the big boys come in because they know nothing about what you're about to put on them when you ask for a debt validation in court. But now if they show up and they don't have the information, what usually happens is they'll just say they want to either get more time because they want to try to see if you'll not show up to court and they'll just get a default judgment. So they'll just say, can we get more time? And then at that time, if you did submit the response to the court summons, you will have two things on your side. The first one is when you sent it to them to do the validation when they sent you the first letter. The second one would be the response that you sent them when you got the court summons and citation. So you will be able to tell the judge, I gave them plenty of time. I mailed it the first time when I got the 30-day letter from them. And I also did it again with the court summons or citation. So I would like to have this dismissed. They've had enough time, and you will get it dismissed because they're going to know, the judge is going to know that they cannot get the paperwork. They cannot get the paperwork. So now let's talk about uh, the. I want to talk about what a strategy that I want people to start using because of the situation that's happened with the virus, because of what's going on with people's income, because people are having medical, uh, things that are going on medically. I think that this could potentially be that sweet spot in our time that this strategy could work. And I'm actually trying it with some customers right now. And this is nothing new. Like in one of my videos, I was like, when I talked about that Santander letter, which is where a company had a subprime auto lender is got sued and they did a settlement, and I thought I came up with this big idea to send demand letters, and lo and behold, there's companies, lawyers that are sending demand letters to them by the thousands. So, but universally, this is I'm on that level where great ideas. I'm on that plane with the other people that are coming up with these ideas. But I looked online and I was thinking, well, first I was thinking, what if I have customers that have debt, knowing that the debt collectors do, I mean, the original creditors do eventually sell debt that they can't collect. Wouldn't it be out there, like way out there, to just think that maybe some of the debt, the creditors would forgive debts automatically if hardship letters were sent to them. They all have hardship departments, but this is not a hardship to try to delay the debt. This is a hardship to try to get the debt forgiven, to have them place that debt right away into a 1099-C debt cancellation, file that with the IRS, and not even include it in batches that they try to sell to debt collectors. Could that work? And then when I was just like, let me just do a quick search online. And when I searched online, I saw a whole slew of different articles talking about hardship letters directly to creditors to either refinance their properties, to get mortgage modifications, uh, all types of things. So it was like this came to me, and I think that this needs to be an option. And so what I'm doing with some clients that meet what I believe could be uh, a hardship, that legitimate hardship. Not losing your job is not going to be a hardship to try to get a debt forgiven. What I'm looking at is combinations of people that have medical and job, or medical first, disability, became disabled, uh, people that maybe was in abusive family situations and ended up having to incur debts for a number of reasons just to get out of that situation. That's what I'm talking about. And so the way that a hardship letter should be crafted, and it when you do a hardship letter, you should never be like, "Woe is me." It's never like pushing the blame on other people or pushing the blame on what happened to you. What you're doing is you're uh, giving them the information about why you cannot pay the debt, and then you are asking them for a particular outcome. And then you attach supporting documents to go with that. And then you just see what could happen. Because if we go back to what I talked about earlier in the video, which is you're thinking positive and you just put it out there. You don't have to worry about all of the stuff in the middle. You know there's going to be some ups and downs. You have your eyes on the ultimate goal. What if you had 10 creditors and just one of them, just one, said, you've went through a hard time. This is a hardship. They may not say it, but they're thinking to themselves, we're just going to sell the debt. We're not going to, there's no way we're going to get this collected. And let's just file a 1099-C in advance rather than selling that debt for pennies on the dollar. Rather than selling it for pennies on the dollar. It's possible. It's something that is possible. It can happen. It can happen. So I'm going to end the video here. If you need help with your credit, visit my website, thecreditrepairshop.com. Watch my videos here. I talk about a lot of solutions here on YouTube. If you need your credit reports and scores, remember everything starts there. Go to the number 3scores.com. I appreciate it. This is one way that supports me to be able to be here on YouTube to support the channel. And please make sure that you like this video, share it, comment. I try to get to as many comments as possible. And as a matter of fact, I'm not going to end the video right here because I wanted to get to some of those comments. So let's get to them here. We got, let's see here. What if a judgment, they said would, but what if a judgment, what if they filed a judgment? Do you have a video on how to attack that? Yes, and that's if they filing a judgment is different from getting a judgment. If they're in the process of taking you to court, they don't have a judgment yet, and that's what you do. What I talked about in the video earlier, or you look at how to respond to a court summons. If they have the judgment, then you're going to have to go into a settlement phase because that judgment is going to last for 20 years. You can reopen if they got a default judgment, you can reopen, ask to be able to do the debt validation so they can prove everything, but that is very limited. In some states don't even give you much time to do that. In my state, they only give you 6 months to do it. Here's another one. What if I never got a letter from them and they sent to my old address? I found out by looking at my credit. You can ask, you can do a debt validation, send it directly to them. If they haven't moved forward and gotten a judgment, you can still do that at that time. The only thing that's where I was talking about when you don't respond to the letter. This is a good question. When you don't respond to that 30-day letter, you give them legal rights to put it onto your credit reports. That's step number 2 for them. Step number 3 is to try to come after you to collect the money. Okay, this person asks, can you tell me how to remove a charge off? Well, it depends on what type of charge off, depends on how old the charge off is, depends on if they sold the charge off, depends on if everything is accurate about the charge off. So let's go with the first one. The first one, which is the one that all credit repair companies are going to try to do when it comes to a charge off, is that they're going to try to find something that's inaccurate about the way that the charge off is listed on your credit reports. They call it factual challenging, on factual data challenging. And so you can look on your credit reports. That's why it's important to look at your credit reports, not the free ones that they're giving. Get one that shows all of the information on your credit reports because you will see that there's differences with all the bureaus. Now, to be clear, each bureau is a different company, but you can find faults with the way that it was reported to one bureau over another. And then you craft your letter to get that charge off removed. Now, let's say that the charge off is something new It just got charged off. If you want to get that charge off removed, you need to call the original creditor. And if they don't have the debt anymore, then you can have them send you a letter stating that they don't have the debt anymore and that they potentially sold it to someone. And then you can say that this account was sold, and then you can push to get it removed. If you can't get it to get removed, and that collection company, now this is like some tricky stuff that I'm telling you. If that debt collection company has it and they're going to consider that an account, technically they sold the account, so you can have that the original creditor place that as a sold account, transferred account, take off the charge off, because they have in essence changed that with a contract with a new company that they sold it to. It can change the way that it's stated on your credit reports at worst. At worst, it can change the way that it is showing on your reports, and that will actually make your scores go up, because and that's like a technicality that you can actually use to make them have to change the way that's reported, because you could use one thing that they tell you over what they're showing on your credit reports. Usually what happens is that when you trap them like that and you send them back to the credit bureaus and you're using their own document against them, they'll usually just take it off of your credit report. The other way is if it's they still had the account, uh, and you just offer to do a settlement with them. That would be the next step on that. Let's go to the next question. Someone said, "Oh, teach me how to never pay franchise tax board." Not sure what that means, so we'll skip that one. Whenever they call me and inquire my information, I never give them unless I call them. I won't give them information. That is 100% correct. You should never give them your information. See, that's why you want to do the debt validation, because if they don't have the information, they're trying to get you to get at to them. But when you do the debt validation and they don't give you that information, that's what makes them cease the collection activities, because they're coming after you for something that they can't even prove 100% is yours. Let's go to another one. How do I get help? I had my car repossessed in 2017, and it just got it to remove off. Oh, they got it removed off the report. So congratulations. And it was a Santander loan. Let's go here. Let's go to the next one here. If the settlement of, I think this is for the Equifax public record settlement. And keep in mind, the Equifax public record settlement is different than the breach settlement. This was something that they reported inaccurately, or the way their process that they placed the public records on individuals' credit reports, there must have been something wrong with the process, because they're giving people $1,500 for this and they're not saying any wrongdoing. They just came out and said we're going to do it, and then on the settlement breach, they're giving people $150 or $125. Let's see. Here's another one. My credit union sold the title of my car to a debt collector. How do I find out how to get the title to my car? I don't think they actually sold your title to a debt collector. What they did is, if you went into default, they sold the debt to a debt collector, and maybe they weren't able to repossess the car. Like they had been looking for the car, they weren't able to get it, and they sold the debt to a debt collector. Uh, it's going to be tough to. You're going to have to find out who the debt collector is. You ask them who is the debt collector that they sold it to, and then you're going to have to negotiate a settlement on your car. It's going to put you in a tough position because they're going to probably come and try to get the car if you don't pay. Because they're going to try to see where you're living at. They're going to try to get information on you about that. Uh, Here's another one. If they prey on you, return the favor. F all debt collectors, payday loans. Every vulture out there owes you money thanks to our government. Well, that's what someone put there. Let's see what the next one is. This is someone that learned about the statute of limitations. There's a statute of limitations for information being reported on your credit report. If it's been there for 7 years, good or bad, it could potentially be, it's supposed to be removed. If you have good accounts, as you're still paying on that good history, will just continue, just roll off that off of those, from that time period. If you have a bad account, it's supposed to automatically be removed after 7 years. That's just on the credit reports. We're not talking the difference that what we're talking about, which would be able to get it off the credit reports even faster, is by having statute of limitations for debt to be able to be collected. That's what we're talking about when we're talking about the debts themselves. Let's see here. Someone asked, can I do one about student loans and disabilities? I did do a video about student loans and people that are on disability on how to get them forgiven. They still have it, but it's not being processed the same way, but they still have that available. Where if you're disabled, you can get debt forgiveness on your student loans. If you're permanently disabled, and the law states that if a person is 5 years or more going to be on disability, they are considered permanently disabled. Let's see here. I have a charge off with a credit card. It's a major credit card. And again, is a charge off. Called them to do a settlement. The debt, can they collect on the debt when when they wrote off the debt? Yes, when they write off or charge off a debt, that's just to take it off of the books for the way that their company is showing their investors, or if they're a publicly traded company, they can't be lying and saying that they have all of these people that are going to pay them, and a percentage of them is not going to pay them. They're charged off. They haven't paid for more than 3 to 6 months, so they have to take it off the books. It's for accounting, so they can show the correct status of their open accounts that are good accounts versus what are bad accounts. So yes, they can still collect on that. Someone said here, a lady called several days ago about a debt. I don't know what it's from, 2.5 years ago. And the collection agency did charge, or the original creditor charged it off credit reports, but she claims it's still active. She said her company was collecting it for another collection company. She changed the story when, for the original creditor, which knew wasn't the case. She wanted my bank account information, refused to do it. Don't give your bank account information at all. Uh, she asked for the paperwork, but I have not received no paperwork. Repeated and gargled the name of her company. So she was being unreasonable, told her the police department had a message on the radio and TV here warning not to give bank info. Well, you did good. You did good. This is number one, there are fake debt collectors out there trying to collect money, trying to collect money that's past statute of limitations, trying to just collect anything on it. Uh, the other thing is uh, you when you ask for the paperwork, they have to send it to you. By just saying that when they call you, when a debt collector calls you and you ask for that paperwork and they don't provide it, you will most likely have that debt collector will stop coming after you because they think you are well, you are educated. Let's not say they think you are. In their mind, they're saying you are. They think you're educated. You are educated on what they can and can't do, cannot do, and they don't want to step into that arena because they don't know what the outcome could be from sending you stuff that is fake, fraudulent, lying about the account, lying about all type of stuff, and you catch them in a lie, and they end up having to pay you money for that. So you did the right thing on that. Congratulations, congratulations. I'm gonna like that. All right, so we'll end it here. This is Stephen Williams, founder and president of the creditrepairshop.com. Please like this video. I know it's long, but I just had a feeling that there's people out there that needed this long video. Uh, there's a lot of good information in it. It goes, shows you my mindset. If you need help with your credit, visit the creditrepairshop.com. If you need help with your scores, if you need to know your scores and your reports, everything starts there. Go to your3scores.com. I'll put the text up here and the links are below this video. Please like this video. Please subscribe to the channel. Please continue to think positive and please stay safe. Thank you.